Hey guys, how you doing? Another interesting, quick little video for me at the moment. This is a strange one. It's from the worst film ever made, the Ewok movie. I think Christ, I can't even remember what one it was. Ewoks Battle. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was the second of the two standalone 80s Ewoks films. There was a model of the old guy in it with glasses and a beard. I can't remember his name or character's name because it's just that long ago. Then embarrassing of a film that I can't remember the guy's name. He was in The Thing. Anyway, he was quite good in that. Anyway, I stumbled across some archive pictures from the Lucasfilm archives, and there's a table of all background ships. Now, one of them has the Dornian in it, which I've done videos on. Which is this one, horrendous vac-formed kit, and that comes from the P-38 Lightning, and that's a balsa wood kit with vac-formed shells and all that sort of thing. It's this one here. It's horrendous, and that's how they come vac-formed like that. Anyway, I thought that was the only ship that use those vac forms, but it turns out there's another model that's sitting. I'll put the picture of the model, the screenshot of the model used in the film up at the end, on that table with the rest of them, and like you do, you chat in your WhatsApp groups or whatever, your Messenger groups, and Lee Ralph was like, that looks like that's the engines at the back are from the P-38, and Marvin was like, yeah, that looks like it is, and I was like, yeah, okay. And that sort of was left. The idea of doing that was ignored for about a year or so, and then I was looking at it the other day trying to get some images for something else, and I was like, I actually really like that design, and I think I've got most of the parts needed. It literally, the back of it is two of these cut out with this sort of weird nose thing like that, and then I think I've worked out that it's these canopies that slide over the top of it. This doesn't make much sense now, but I'll put in the picture so you can sort of see it. I think that's the nose, and that sits on top. It's all kind of like just plonked together like the Dornian, and it sits on what we originally thought was a vac-formed Slave 1 hull, but it's too round and it's just not that. But it's just a domed piece. So I had this ABS dome that was meant to be some idea that me and Lee Ralph were going to do a concept Ralph McQuarrie Death Star at some point. I don't know if Lee's still doing that. He possibly is, but that idea sort of fizzled out with me. And I had these domes left over, and I had the perfect shape, and I've just dremeled that out, and I wouldn't want that job on my worst enemy because it was hideous. But I've cut it out, and I need to sand all the edges now, but these kind of like just sit inside like that, and that bit goes underneath, and these edges are cut off straight, and then these I think sort of sit over the top, and there's some phantom edges in the middle that are on the back of the X-Wing, and it looks like quite a cool shape. There's some Plastruc sort of lampshade bits sitting down for the landing gear, which are the same as what's used on the escape pods. These things, they're sort of, I'm going to pop them off here. I don't think I'm ever going to do that. So, and they're attached together for landing gear, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. But it gives me free range to sort of build as much as we can see, because the photos aren't great, and just elaborate on that and do my own thing in certain areas. I mean, I think there's one shot of the underside from the film that's blurred and moving past, but I think there's a different model. I think there's a larger model. There's a full-size landing gear built for the film, and then the smaller maquette, which I'm going to be doing here, and then I think there was another one that shows the underside, which is again completely different model, I think. So yeah, that's another work in progress that I've got going. Okay, so I've got the hull of the ship cut out. So it was just a dome, and then the two sides got cut off, and then this sort of elaborate shape was cut out at the back. That needs to be all sanded smooth. This is just being bonded now. This is the canopy of the P38, well, the canopy in the whole top section. This then gets trimmed. I'll try and get that to sit flatter, and then that gets trimmed back at sort of a strange angle, and this stupid backform thing sits in underneath. There's also two wings that come out on the edge, made from the same pull that is. And then you've got the engines at the back, which sit under like that. That sits on top like that and covers, I need to trim that, but that horrible lip there will get covered with that, and that sits on like that, and then that goes on top of, hang on, no, there's like a strip of styrene that goes, oh sorry, you can't see, but that goes over like that, and then that piece gets trimmed and goes on top. So a lot of it is pretty much that P38 Lightning kit, and there's the Phantom engines and that sort of thing. But this is where we're standing at the moment. A little tip, they're horrible to cut out, vac form pieces, and they're even more horrible to bond. But give them a coat of primer, and I gave them the coat of primer underneath, you can see the cut lines so much easier. And obviously it won't work on a canopy that you're trying to do for, you know, like an A-wing or something that needs to be clear. But if you're doing something like this, that ILM just cobbled together some kit parts, give it a coat of primer and your cut line is much easier to see. Okay, so I seem to have jumped ahead a few steps without documenting it, so apologies for that. But I've joined the vac-formed P38 Lightning engine, no, not engine, top part anyway, onto the hull body, and then these two strips of styrene were on the original, probably to hide these seams because they're horrendous. So whoever built this, probably Bill George, whoever, popped them over, and then this bit's been popped on the back. Excuse those glue marks, so I'll sand them off, and then that all gets hidden anyway. There's a big piece that wraps around all that. I've got the nose installed, and I've had to cheat and put a few Formula 1 parts just over the nose because it's the gaps were horrendous on that. So it's largely open to artistic license anyway, because the pictures I've got are so blurry that you can only ID the sort of big parts. But it's just the form and the shape I'm interested in. So then I cut out the wings from the same dome but on the edge, so the wings would sit in like that. And I thought, you know, that looks good, but it's not right. It's too round. It's like, you know, half moon, which isn't the sort of the shape I'm after. So with more head scratching, it was annoying because I'd cut out loads. I primed them, sanded them all, got them all ready. But when you stick them on, it might be that way around actually. When you stick them on, they look too round, and you could sort of lift them up a bit, but then you're creating this dip which isn't there. So I think the problem is, I think this is too domed, you know, which is creating problems further on down the line. But I haven't got another dome to use, and I'm too far into the project now to worry about that. So back to good old styrene, and I'm going to now heat that up and just form it into place like that, which gives a far better imitation of the original. So up with the heat gun next. Okay, so I've got that one glued in place. It is just a case of heating it up with a blow lamp, not on the hottest setting, just going back and forth over the edges, and then holding it against the template of the one that I made in ABS, and then just ran some cold water under it to sort of shock it, and that's really flexible. And hopefully I can clamp that to the other side once this has cured. Okay, that's the shape I'm after now. The wings are flat under the curvature of the hull, if that makes sense. So they're formed, and that side's glued, and I'm just clamping that one down now. So yeah, that's starting to look like the ref, hopefully. And then I've made the engines, and they sit under there. So in the morning, when I've let that cure overnight, I can stick them on. Okay, so the wings held really nicely. And I'm really liking the way it looks. It sort of looks like what I'm aiming for. And, you know, when you can say that, that's a good thing. I've got the engines just attached with a screw. The underside has been styrened up, ready for all the fun to happen. Ignore that glue mark. That's all going to be covered with kit parts, and I'm going to go over this as well. So it's going to be sort of a tube. I don't know yet. It's going to be it's going to be a good base to sort of enjoy kit parts and kit bash. But there we go. That's how it's looking. Okay, so I've just been sort of run away with the details, really. It's been lovely having free reign completely of the underside. To get that feeling and just look of the what was seen very, very briefly in a split shot of it sort of flying across the camera like that. But yeah, this is the best part, just adding kit parts and just having fun with it, really. I do know there's the Ferrari, all this is just made up, so that's accurate and that's accurate. The rest is completely made up because I just don't have the ref. But what I have worked out is that there's the 312B Ferrari Tamiya hood that way up underneath at the back. And then there's two little greeblies put on there, and there's some other little bits and pieces in the back. And then there's the Phantom F4 engines go on there as well. So that's how it's looking at the moment. I'm just doing some... I've come across some further ref. Thank you to those, you know who you are, that got me some awesome ref from the back in the day of Lorne Peterson building it. I thought it was Bill George originally, but it's Lorne Peterson that built the this. There was 3 in total. This is the maquette. Then there was a slightly larger one that's still in the film, and then there's the 3rd massive model that was used for the takeoff that comes across the screen. This one was one particular shot in the film where you just see it lit up at the back and then just zoom off into hyperspace or whatever. And yeah, that's how it's at the moment. But because I've got this new ref, there's loads of ribs underneath. You can see Lorne Peterson building it, and so I've been scratch building these ribs that are gonna slide in underneath like that, and that's created that sort of rib appearance that's seen in the ref. Okay, so I've given it a coat of primer, Halford's automotive grey primer, and it's lovely how primer brings out all the detail and unifies everything. But happy with that. Yep, this is looking you know, like I sort of imagined it. It's great when you start adding real kit parts to these, and I mean, the beauty of this in a way is that there's no ref at all for... I have ref for the bigger model, but not for the smaller one. So I decided to, you know, copy as best I could since receiving the ref of these fins and stuff, and just having a blast with all these kit parts was great fun. So yeah, this is how it's looking now, and the question is, shall I detail the top? Because the original doesn't have any, because I think it was just used for an underside shot, and the top was quite quickly sort of made. But I think I'm going to have to. I can't have the bottom looking like that. nicely detailed, and then the top just completely bare. So I think I am going to have to add some detail to the top, but I'm liking how it's looking at the moment.